Now the next step in writing a resume is the order of information. So in that, the first one is like how do you choose a resume introduction. Now as we have three formats for writing a resume, similarly we have three formats for actually choosing how should be your resume introduction. So the first one is qualification summary, second is career objective, and the third one is professional profile. Let me talk to you about the qualification summary. Now here you can choose any one amongst these three. So here how is it written, how do you write a qualification summary? So it can be in bullet point list, so anywhere between 4 to 6 points that you mention. And now what exactly do you talk about, in those 4 to 6 bullet points, what is included? So you are talking about your career achievements, whatever you have achieved so far in your career. The next is when should we use this resume introduction. So if your job requires a rigid set of abilities, so it's you have these abilities in you and that is the requirement for a particular job, then you should go on for qualification summary. And you should possess multiple skills, that is you have different skill set which will adhere to the job that you are applying for. And then usually if you have vast experience in a particular field and as at a particular position, so it's always better to go for qualification summary. When you shouldn't be using qualification summary. So here when you're lacking experience, you don't have any experience whatsoever, you've started working but no experience, then you can talk about when you are a fresher, you've just come out of college, and then you lack specific skill sets, because see you're lacking experience, you are a fresher, so you will not have completely groomed skill sets within you, so it's not possible. So when these are the things, you should not be using qualification summary. Now this is the second form of introduction in your resume. Now what is a career objective? This many of us will come across because as freshers we always use this, and this is right, we usually use it for freshers. So what is a career objective? We can say it's a 2-3 sentence paragraph where we are providing an overview of our skills and experience. So what is the skill set that we have as a fresher and how can we apply those within an organization. Now these kind of introductions are best for entry level or you can say freshers. Now when should you actually use this format or this particular introduction? When you don't have in-depth experience, you don't have much to talk about because you haven't been working, you're still fresh out of college. Now again same, fresher and recent graduate. So if you are one of these, please use career objective as your resume introduction. Now when you shouldn't be using career objective. Now you see people who are experienced, they also write career objective, and those who are inexperienced same way. So how can we differentiate it? Best thing is when you have a wealth of industry specific skill sets, you've been working for quite some time, you have vast experience and knowledge and you have really developed or groomed your skill set, then please do not use career objective. Next is you are changing your career paths. Again, if you are moving from one field to another, then it's advisable not to use career objective. And next, when you're writing a covering letter. Now I would not be talking about that because a covering letter is which gives you a brief information about what is included in your resume, because that is where you're going to write everything in your cover letter. So please do not write career objective if you are planning to give a cover letter with your resume. And the third one for your resume introduction is professional profile. Now again this is a combination of both, so and we can say this is the most flexible of the three formats. Now here when do you use this profile? So when you have major achievement in the past, you've been working for quite some time and you have a lot of experience and you have achieved a lot in your career path, then you're going to use your professional profile. The next is you are applying to the position in the same industry. So it's it can be any position, but within the industry you are not changing your industry criteria. And then when you are an entry level applicant, you are not going to use professional profile, because here when we say professional profile, that means we assume you have some kind of experience behind you, or we can say a lot of experience behind you. So definitely not suitable for entry level applicants. And then again, if you are a recent college graduate, you will not have much to speak about your professional experience or your career growth. So this is not right for you. We will move on to the third step. Now the next information that you provide in the order of information is your educational details. So here there are two ways to provide your educational details. So it can be either in tabular form, where you want to use tabs, or you can use the bullet form, where you want to give each and every information in a line. So here tabular form is more appropriate, because it's easy to understand the information that you are providing. But that does not mean if you use a bullet form, it is anyways wrong. As I said, you do not have any hard and fast rule for writing a resume. You can choose any one which is convenient. So in educational details, you will include the name of your college, and even if you want to extend, then you can even write the name of your university or from the board where you completed your education. Then course details, again that would be in reverse chronological order. It is from your you can say your honors to your post graduation, and then your graduation, and then your 10+2, and then last the 10th, and then your year of passing, and which year you passed. Again, see to it that it is in a particular order. So if you are just writing the year in which you passed, you are going to write the year, for example 2016. Then all the others, it would be 2012, 2010. So not from this to this, but one particular order. Now here sometimes if you are still pursuing, you have not completed your education, then you usually write pursuing beside it, or the usual format that we do is we write the year in brackets. So probably when we write something like this, that means you have not completed your education, you are still pursuing it. But many people do not understand that. So it is always better to write pursuing beside your year of passing. CGP or CGPA. Now what happens here is many people do not include this in their educational details. The reason is either you do not have a good percentage, or you feel there in one of your education you didn't score well. But here now usually if you have a high scoring CGPA, it is always better to mention it. But if you feel you are not going to do that, but that definitely the question is going to come up during your interviews. They are going to ask you what is your percentage, and that time you will definitely have to open up and say this was my percentage. So I would suggest it's you give your percentage and face the question, because sooner or later you are going to tell what your score is. So there is no point in hiding that information. Reveal it, there is nothing wrong. Then a few additional sections that you can have here is if you want to talk about your certifications which you had during your education or after your education, because that is an added advantage. Next is many people from the industry, if they belong to the engineering field or IT, then they will have a lot of paper publications. So if you want to talk about that, if you want to let the employer know about those publications, any paper published by you, please care to mention it, because again that is going to add value to your resume. Next is if you have had any scholarships, if you have throughout been on scholarships, then again that is a very good achievement of yours. You can talk about it, do mention it in your resume. If you have had any grants from any university or any honorary organization, you can always mention that. Volunteer positions, now we may think it's why should we do this? I have volunteered for so many events or so many things during my academics, but is it necessary? Yes, because when you go as a fresh year, they are not just looking for your technical skill set or how you are in your particular field. They want to see a person who is well groomed, and they want to bring out the overall personality in you. So it's always better if you've volunteered for anything for any social cause or social service, as simple as you've donated blood or something like that, you can definitely add it. And last but not least is your technical skills, because those belonging to the engineering field or the IT industry or the IT field, they have a lot of technical skills. You have your, you can say software proficiency, what are you good at? You're good at MS Office and Word or whatever it is, or you're good at Oracle. And then if you have your technical, you can say your programming language, you're good at HTML, or you can say you're good at Java, you can always talk about that. Now we'll move on to the next section. Okay, when we want to style our resume, the first thing that will come to our mind is the number of pages. How many pages should be included, or how resume should consist how many pages. So here again there is you can say a disagreement. Some people say it should be 2 pages, some say 1 page, and some say it should be more than 2 pages. Now again there is nothing like hard and fast rule, but many of us follow is like if it's a resume it has to be 2 pages, it shouldn't go beyond 2 pages. But what happens if you are missing out on information, then it's always better like it's like maximum 3 but not more than 3. But I would still suggest stick your resume to 2 pages, because that's the majority of the people use it. And whereas like if it's going beyond 2 pages, like 3-4 pages or more than that, then that comes under a CV, because here we are talking about a vast experience. So resume, stick to 2 pages. Now again in those 2 pages, how should your font and sizing be? Now again people have a lot of confusion. If you look at a lot of resumes, either the font would be too big, and why you would think, why is the person writing so big, or it would be too small that the hiring manager has to actually look out for his reading glasses and read what you've written, and the chances are your resume is mainly going to go in trash and not be taken seriously. So here I'll talk about the do's and don'ts for the font sizing, font and the sizing. First of all, choose an easy and easy to read font, where it should not be very creative or very arty, where it's very you can say in italics, and that's not the right way, because that doesn't look like a professional resume. And then use the same font throughout. So people think we have availability of so many fonts, so why not use one for my name, one for my career objective, one for my other skills, or one for my education. That's not a right thing to do, because you cannot be experimenting with the fonts here. So here one rule that you have to follow is one font throughout your document from the start to finish. Now the size can vary, but the font type has to be same. Next is you have to change sizes in descending order to your name and bullet points. So usually when you are using your name, that has to be the biggest size. So usually what we follow is say 14, 12, 10. So 14 would be for your heading, and then 12 would be for your subheadings, and 10 would be for your sub points, or you can say like your bullet points. So that is normally that we follow. But again, as I said, no hard and fast rule, but it depends on the document and the information that you are providing. If you feel there is less information, then you can increase the font, but not drastic, too drastic, like they should look a vast difference between the font sizes. Next is choose a font that fits with the text sizes. Now again, usually some text, like when you are choosing a font, again the fonts types vary. If one particular font it sets in one line, if you try it with another font, it will go on to the next line. So see to it like the font, whatever you choose, it becomes proper and it's easy to acknowledge and read. What are the don'ts? It's like, again, don't choose small sizes to fit everything on one page. So what, you feel, okay, I want my resume to be only 1 page and not go beyond that. So what you do is you cramp the information on the page and it looks very cluttered, and that's not a good effect, or that's not a good impact on the interviewer. Now don't pick wacky fonts, like it's like where it's sometimes I'm telling you it's not even readable, you cannot understand what is written. So please do not experiment, because that's your professional document and you don't want to mess with the information. Now you don't have one uniform text size throughout. Again, that is a big no, because again that tells a lot about you. You are like you are having a very fluctuating mind, you are not sticking to one particular font size or type, and that is not a right thing to do. So please avoid that. Don't go below 9 points. So usually what happens is, to fit every information on one page, you decrease your font size. Sometimes you even go to 8 points and all that, but never below 9. So that's the last limit that you have. Don't go below 9 points. Next is, as we have so much of you can say information or fonts to choose from, it becomes very difficult for us to decide, okay, shall I choose this, shall I choose this. And one more tip I want to give you here, what we usually do is, never, if you are changing your font type, see to it that you are following the same type throughout, because what we usually do, we overlook the fact that, okay, our heading is in one font and our career objective is in one font, our educational details are in one font. So it looks like, it looks like a big you can say mashup. So that should not be happening. You should always keep changing, because you are not using the default font here, you are changing it. So every time you come to a fresh information or to a new line, then you will always come back to the default size and the font type. So see to it that you keep changing it if you have actually played with the default. So that is one thing that you need to remember. Now here further I am going to talk about, like, what are the different fonts that you can use if it's your hard copy or the soft copy that you have to send. So, and that's very important. Now if you are having a difficulty to choose the font type, like which one to go for, because there's a lot of you can say choice available to you, it's very easy. Divide your thinking into whether it's going to be a paper version or it's going to be a you can say electronic version. So if you're going to take a hard copy or you're going to have a printout of your resume, then you'll follow the serif fonts. Okay. Now in those serif fonts you'll have Times New Roman, Georgia, Bookman Old Style and Century Gothic. Now if you want an electronic version where you have to send your resume online and it's going to be any PDF or any other form, usually it will be a Word form that you should be sending. So here you can have a sans serif font, in that you will have Arial, Helvetica and then Tahoma and Calibri. So this will be easier for you to decide which version you want, if it's paper version or electronic version. Now we will talk about lines in choosing your style of your resume. Okay, the next thing that you have to look for in styling your resume is the number of lines, or the lines that you're using. So it's like you can say the spacing between two information. It usually starts with career objective. So you can have that as a line, and then you can have next for your educational details, then your technical skills, then your other sections that you're using. So lines are very important because you bring the attention of the recruiter to your information on the resume, and the information doesn't look clustered. So it looks like very crisp and clear, and where it's easily understood because you're providing proper spacing between the information, and it's very formal. Next is you're using margins. So many of us, if we are not using margins, what happens is the information is not properly aligned. So usually we provide a 1-inch margin for information for people who are freshers. Again, it's like people with vast experience, or they have a lot of experience information to share. Then what we do is we usually reduce the margin, but it's always better to have margins in your resume, because there the information doesn't get distorted and it's very clear to understand. And see to it that your margins do not go below 0.5 inch, because then again what happens is it becomes out of range, and the information would not be in a proper order. Now here this was all about resume preparation, like what all should be included, how you should go about, and it definitely is not easy as it seems. Like yes, you go and you make your resume and it's ready, and it looks like a professional resume. Now I have a very interesting application for you to share with you. It's called the Resumer. It's an application on Google Play Store. What you do is, if you're not able to find it easily, then go by Naker Software Services. And you have different formats in which you can prepare your resume. So it gives you a resume in PDF format, and what you do here is it's all ready-made information. So you just have to feed in the information, and you come up with 3-4 different styles of resume, and yeah, you're ready with your resume, and it becomes easier for you. In case if it's becoming difficult for you, then please go through this, and definitely you'll have a very I can say lovely resume, which would be very impressive, and go ahead with your job search, and thank you so much.